Taking video cameras out of my house. That's the freaky
Yeah.
ass that you're spying on.
That's what our apartment looks like. Don't show them the mic.
Well, it seems like it is the hour, so we will call the July 25th meeting of the Economic Development Committee to order. Are there any public comments? Hearing none, we'll go into our agenda. Our first item is we're happy to have Dean Murray from Spring Township here to give us an idea. You know, we have had a long, long history between the two municipalities of cooperation and so on. And they have some stuff going on, we have some stuff going on, and I think it's important that both municipalities know what's going on next door, along with our friends in West Reading, who are also, I notice, here. So, Dean, if you'd like to come up and join us here and tell us what's on your mind. And then the committee can really...
Well, I don't know if you want to know everything on the mind, so.
Yeah.
And I'm sure everybody remembers me. I used to be with West Reading for 30 years, and then unfortunately jumped ship. Well, unfortunately for them, but it's been a good move so far, and I'm really happy where I'm at. So things going on in the spring, potentially things going on in the spring right now. There's nothing solidified or totally official yet. But obviously everybody's been hearing the whispers in the wind about the hospital tract out there by Target area, that big open field. There's a multi-use being looked at. There's a big grocery store being looked at going in there. There's a couple of restaurants, maybe a bank. And then the rest of it's looking at single homes and townhomes. And then I believe there's also two smaller size apartment buildings that are going on. There's also...
But it's within a short distance of a big grocery store, banks, I mean, you know.
Yeah, it's just being looked at right now. Nothing's final, so that's just the one big thing. There is like a small parcel of land that they're giving the township for as far as like a sub fire station, and then the possibility of a library site. So that way we wouldn't have that one over there by Isaacs and all that. That's that one. That's the major one, and then
Is the hospital still going to do something? Have they retained anything?
No, I don't believe so. I think they're selling that all off. Well, the idea is for them to sell that off.
Well, at one point you were talking about holding on to some percentage of it.
Yeah, not that I'm aware of. And then the other two small things that they're looking at right now is right there on the Coles lot, the parcel where Coles is at. In the front corner, I guess more so for the Wyomissing side, they're looking at a 7 brew on that front corner. And then on the opposite corner of that parking lot, they're looking at a Raising Cane chicken strip fast food. Yeah, I just go by what I hear.
Well, if you can't get 2 car washes across the street from each other, you should have to sell for them.
Okay, there you go. But that's the unofficial results right now.
So Whole Foods is not definite.
Whole Foods is working off the record. They're the big one that's looking to sign in there, yes. But until they finalize all the major plans, then that's what it is.
Is PennDOT still requiring the diversion diamond for development of that parcel?
I think that got taken off.
Lucky them.
Yeah, but I think that they just had to do minor concessions there for the entryways for the bypass and that.
I'm surprised they didn't want to go circle.
Yeah. I was worried.
As I'm sure you're aware, we now have a developer with an agreement of sale in Berkshire Mall. So there's,
Nice.
you know, they're in their due diligence period, and we'll see where that all turns out. They're working on a couple of significant tenants, or so we were told. And once one of them is in place, then that'll largely dictate how they handle the rest of the parcel. In the meantime, there has been a proposal for a Wawa where the mobile gas station used to be, that got befuddled with the widening of State Hill Road, but now seems to have been worked out. So we'll see. We don't have anything in hand yet. So there's good news to get that thing doing something.
Sure.
And obviously, we end up with the major focus of retail and offices in between you guys in your Spring Ridge end and our area over that way. That is kind of the focus. So I've thought in the past about cooperative ways to market that. Here it is. Gotta
Nice.
get it, kind of thing.
Right.
So we would be anxious to continue to work with you guys on that.
Okay.
I do know the engineer for the hospital tract development reached out to me. He wanted contact owner information for Seven Oaks. I guess part of their project is a walking bike trail. And he wanted to see if he could make the connection to tie through Seven Oaks, like get an access easement that then it would pick up on Berkshire Boulevard to ours to connect everything, which
Okay.
would be nice for
Yeah.
both communities.
Absolutely.
So you guys seem to be fairly well solidified in terms of not having major vacancies in your shopping centers and office parks and stuff.
Not that I'm aware of, no.
What's going in over on Broadcasting Road, they're building up there in that arena development?
Is that the one by One Meridian?
Yes.
I asked that myself, and I think that was still early on. I think they know something that they were planning on putting in there, but I
So it's
don't
nothing
remember.
official, they're building
Yeah.
it and someone will come.
I think so.
Curious.
What was Wilson School District's reaction to that development? Do they even know about it
I
yet?
have not heard that part yet. Well, Wilson School District's working with us right now for the Lincoln Park area about rebuilding a new elementary school. So that's one thing that's on the table there. So, but that wasn't economic development.
Funny thing you should bring up Wilson, because we've been, for years, we thought it was important for Wilson to attend this meeting, so they understand what we're doing. A lot of our projects were delayed because they didn't approve LERTA, and we just need them more involved with what we're doing in the Berkshire Heights area. Do you have any positive connections that somebody else we should talk to, or?
I've heard of one or two of them, so I can check with my public works director and then get that contact and maybe
Talk
just
to Michelle.
yeah.
If it's Jeff Simcox,
Oh, that's Jeff. That's
Jeff's a good, he is a very good contact, but unfortunately,
he's not high enough.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just frustrating when we're all set to go, and we got something, and plans look great and so forth, and then they want to learn it, and we're all in favor of it, and they said no.
Okay.
And they hadn't even really heard anything about
Well, I mean, one of our board of supervisors' wives is on the board, so I don't know if that might be an in or not.
It has been 5 years since we've tried to have that conversation with them, so I think the majority of the board has changed, that it may be worthwhile rehashing that conversation, and it's really the business manager at the school that needs to understand it, and I don't know that we're getting through, no matter what,
I think
Well,
she
I believe
understands
that.
it, she just opposes it.
which is ludicrous.
Does Spring Township have a position on granting LERTAs for projects? Have they ever done it, or have they considered it?
I don't know that part yet. I'm only there 4 months, so
Okay.
still working my way in.
All right.
Committee, any other comments or questions for Dean?
Thank you.
When we talk,
Thank you for having me.
I think, I'm just thinking out loud here, but I think that I think we all agree that having conversation with Wilson up front would be a good thing. But let's not forget Wyomissing either. We should probably have another conversation with them just to,
I have a meeting scheduled with the new superintendent for next week.
this week,
Next week.
next week, good, excellent. That's good. Anybody going with you?
No, the request was made just from them to me.
She's great. Well, tell them that we want to have elected folks from the school board as well as from here involved as well. Anything else, anybody? Well, Dean, thank you.
Wait a second.
That's right.
Oh,
Questions on Penn Avenue, the old Pizza Hut and across from Westlawn Motors, the old gas station.
I just heard that somebody's interested in those, nothing,
I know,
Other
yeah, I
than
know
that.
the Tosco, they're finally getting around to it, but yeah, I was just curious if there's anything in the works or.
yeah.
No, Tosco's.
Billy?
where are we whispering here?
We were talking about Tosco's versus Popeyes,
Popeye was going in across from Victor's or something like that.
I didn't hear that.
the gas station.
Yeah. So
Oh, no, the old bank?
something.
Well, oh, no, alright, now I know where the gas station is. The old bank is, that's turning into a hair salon. They were getting rid of, the drive-through area, and the possibility of still keeping an ATM there, I don't know. But I did not hear anything about a Popeyes.
Oh, Penn Avenue.
The Sunoco station, wasn't it? It originally was supposed to be the Kentucky Fried
Oh,
Chicken
that's
place,
yeah. That's
but
what I
there
heard.
was some problem with soda capacity or
No,
something.
it's,
Yeah, I'm not aware of that.
that's why Victor's Day.
I just heard about the Pizza Hut properties being looked at.
The Sunoco station.
Anything else, anybody?
I just went, Michelle, if you're gonna have a meeting with the superintendent, you wanna sort of link West Reading in with it too, seeing as we work together?
Well, I mean, I think at this point they wanted to meet with just, my understanding from the email I got was can we
Okay.
meet just to do the formal introduction?
Oh, okay,
And then, I
Go
mean,
from
certainly
there.
after that, yeah.
yeah, okay.
They have some facilities, some expansion plans that they wanna talk
Oh,
about.
okay.
Not footprint of the school district itself, athletic fields, but they have some expansion plans that they wanna talk about as well.
Well, there's more to come.
I don't.
It's all run.
Dean, I miss you at the MA meetings.
I'm only on the other end of the hall, so just holler at me.
His commute is shorter, can you blame it?
We have a conflict with our next meeting date in August. That Michelle is asking whether we can switch it by a week from the 29th to the 22nd. That is Thursday to Thursday. Anything you want to say about that?
I'll be on vacation the week of the 29th, so you're welcome to have the meeting in my absence. But I have already confirmed that Crystal Seitz and her replacement, Heather, and now her last name is escaping me, from the Pennsylvania Americana region, also known as our Visitors Bureau, will be attending, and they are able to make it on the 22nd.
Whose name are you forgetting?
Heather, yes, thank you. I know that connection.
One of our committee members has a connection there, so.
I cannot make it on 22nd, but please go ahead and move if everybody else is good.
Is there anybody else with any issues with that? Would one of the committee members be willing to make a motion that we,
So moved.
is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye. Anybody opposed? So we'll change that. That doesn't have to go to council.
No.
Now, under old business, I guess first of all, anything going on, Michelle, that you want us to know about, what's the current status of the Crown Plaza currently?
They are in there working. I know Chief Holmes was concerned because he was trying to get a contact for the fire safety inspection that was overdue, but that did finally get scheduled. I feel like we're being told the same story to some extent we were being told last year, which is, oh, we have these 6 properties and we're trying to focus on one at each time, so sorry we haven't been responding to you on this one. We've been focused on this one down in Georgia. But again, the good news is they are in there, they are working, they have scheduled the fire safety inspection. We've clearly communicated what they need to do, and while slowly, they do seem to be doing it.
And they are now doing their own landscaping?
Yes, we only had to cut the grass twice this year.
Did that.
I'd have to check with Kathy, I honestly don't know. that second invoice probably only went out within the past 3 weeks.
How about across the street, the project that moves at the speed of a glacier?
They are coming in for a zoning hearing next week for signage, nothing crazy. One is a digital message board, which is special exception approval. 2 of the signs they're putting up are replacing signs that had been there when it was a bank, and then they need variance relief for a wall-mounted sign because it'll face the same direction as a digital sign.
Okay, so the people who are not having people visit their facility need a digital sign?
I'm sorry?
The people who tell us that folks are not going to come visit them need a digital sign, so people know where they are.
I was told that they like the digital sign because they could also put messages from the borough on it. If we had community events, that they would gladly broadcast those on their sign. Commonwealth Charter Academy.
We'll put our own sign up if you want to do that.
Doesn't they get a message on the warm sidewalk?
Just go to the restaurant store and get a glowing open sign, you know?
Flashing signs are not permitted.
I know.
I do have an update on the mall, and it's not good. Jim actually just called me and sent me a text message. They have a pretty large water leak, which I'm trying to find out where. But Chief Holmes sent an email yesterday. He was over to talk to the new property manager, who also indicated she's probably not going to be there for much longer, which is not surprising. The chief had to issue a corrective action that included a 10-day notice to expedite repairs and a fire watch for the vacant Sears Auto Center due to fire alarm deficiencies and the shutoff of monitoring. Per the monitoring company, there's a large amount of outstanding invoices for their services that have not been paid, therefore they will not be completing the fire alarm repairs or performing monitoring for that portion of the property. When the chief was talking to Tracy and having her sign the documents, she openly communicated she was aware of the issue and the managing company has not been paying the invoices. The good news is all things point to the main system for the mall being monitored and kept up to date, so he's following up and checking on that today. Additionally, the property manager communicated they have a total of 5 sinkholes on the property, which we know about because I've issued them, you know, here's the borough's sinkhole ordinance, you have 30 days to fix it, or we have the right to fix it for you. Again, she's notified upper management, no response, no action, so I told Jim under our emergency repair with Schlau.
Start digging.
Yep, so he's gonna have them mobilized. I think that's why he was actually over there when he found the water leak. She also indicated she knows about 10 to 15 roof leaks, but is unable to get a roofing company to make the repairs because the previous roof work has not been paid for.
Boy, you're doing it.
And they're trying to sell it to them.
So the hits just keep on coming. So Chris, Ethan said he was gonna be with Glenn today. He's gonna try and get a time from him tomorrow. So I'll keep you posted on that, but my suggestion was, I think Chris, Ethan, myself, and Glenn Kraft need to meet sooner than later to discuss what are we doing, when are we doing it, and doing it. So just a heads up that.
Do it soon enough so that the 4 tenants that are still left in there have enough time to move before Christmas.
Yeah.
That's a good point, Steve. But,
Any better news?
I have nothing but rainbows and Care Bears.
Okay, good.
but Boscov's is cool, right?
Yeah. Boss House has always been fine.
Do they take care of their own roof?
They do. They take care of all of their own maintenance, which is why they are fine.
Yeah, they have all their own utilities, right?
I don't know that they have all of their own, because my understanding is there's our main and then there's the private system that goes through the whole property, but you know, if there's an issue, they're gonna televise their line versus the mall's not going to.
So under due diligence, they didn't see a mechanical lien on the roof, that a contractor wasn't paid, a new tenant.
Assuming the contractor has already placed a lien on it. I mean, it's only been put under agreement since May,
Oh, okay.
so, and they have an 18-month due diligence period,
Okay.
so who knows what's gonna happen on the other side of that. Yeah.
The fact that Boscov's is solid is obviously very important. That dates back to when the mall was first built. The 3 department stores were responsible for their own maintenance. But that gave them the hammer over the parking. And over the years, there were requests to do things in the parking lot. They had to get approval from the then 3 department stores. And the department stores basically said, we'll be glad to release that parking as long as you take, this is a mall management, you take over the maintenance. And they didn't want to do that. So that's why we never had anything built in the parking lot. But the good news is that fast forward to today, the Boscov's End, which is thriving, it's a very successful department store, is being properly maintained. So, good news and bad news. What's next, Michelle? Anything else going on?
Those are all the big ones that I have.
Berkshire Mall West, is there any fluttering about with the Outback and whether they're gonna still put an addition on over there?
Joe Nosty's a great contact for that property, and, they're shopping the space. He doesn't seem overly concerned about it being vacant for now. I've not heard anything on their future plans for the addition. I know it's still something they wanna do, but they've not given any timeline.
Mm-hmm. At one point, that was rumored to be an Ashley furniture place, but that's a couple years.
Yeah, I wanna say that was pre-COVID.
Yeah.
Maybe Manny's would wanna revisit that.
So I guess I'm just kind of thinking my way around things. I guess that's about where we are. We're moving ahead pretty well. Does anybody have any other old business they want to bring up? And then we have one that we need to discuss a bit. And that has to do with the redevelopment of the former Init Reading site. We all know Mike. Can you get? I guess there's no career movie up here.
Yeah, sure.
Get down there. A very.
I'm getting Jim McCarthy on the phone, sorry.
Oh.
Hello.
Hey Jim, it's Michelle. You are in the box, as we call it, on the table in council chambers.
Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Hi, Jim.
Good morning.
So, just a very brief recap. Mike has bought the property, which was great relief to us to have the former owners in our rearview mirror. We have a good relationship with Mike. The Irish Club has turned out very, very well, and this is his current venture. In order to make it happen, we needed to have a zoning hearing board session to allow the former D&E wings of the hotel to become studio apartments without retail. Retail was originally
It's conditional use hearing, not so.
Yeah, I know what you meant.
but we had to go to the zoning hearing
No.
board in order to get the.
It was council. It was conditional use approval, not the zoning hearing board.
Waiting for the, all right, well, I stand corrected on that. But the bottom line is, we needed to provide relief. Zoning over there requires retail on the first floor. That isn't applicable to those two wings being used as apartments. So that was granted, and Mike also made a presentation of a preliminary idea of what would go on the rest of the property, which would include the demolition that has already taken place on the end toward the mall, and then contemplating construction of an apartment building with retail and parking on the lower level so that would meet this everything. And then eventually a second apartment building, similar, a bit bigger, approximately where the lobby of the hotel is. Line 2. The conditional use hearing produced a list of conditions. one of the things that we have going over in that vicinity is necessary upgrades to our wastewater collection system. There are a couple of pump stations that have pretty many miles on them. And while we fortunately have not had disasters so far, they are inevitable just because of the age of the equipment and so on. So there was a requirement in those conditions for a monetary contribution toward that project. And now he has hit some economic issues that have to do with his particular project, but it's, the economy in general. Everybody knows that construction these days is bogged down in a combination of interest rates and construction costs. And that's kind of the stage that we're at. And Mike, I'll let you.
Well, just one correction on the pump stations don't need to be replaced because they're old. They need to be upgraded for the additional capacity of the developments occurring in that area.
Yes, but as Mike is going to now relate to us, his current needs don't require any more. But go ahead, Mike.
Sure. So the reopening of the former D&E wings are actually reducing the sewer needs on the borough by anywhere from 100 to 400 EDUs, depending on how you do the math. And one of the conditions was basically to enter into an agreement to pay for the upgrades on this pumping station to the tune of $1.35 million, needing to be paid before any future phases of the project would move forward. So being that we need the Studios on Spring project, the former D&E wing, to open to foot the bill for any future phase of the project, the cart's a little before the horse here. That funding for future phases hasn't been secured yet. So, we don't have the ability to pay for that at this time until these two buildings are open and stabilized. So that's kind of the issue. There's a condition put in there that really doesn't apply to this first phase.
Jim and I were talking about this yesterday, and I think a reasonable solution is council could potentially agree to defer you signing that sewer agreement and paying your amount with the understanding we need to move forward for these other developers. Therefore, you are going to be on the hook for all expenses to upgrade at a future time, and his estimate is that your 1.3 is going to go to 2.2.
And I think that's where we're at, because
2.5.
Sorry.
Yeah, because, we have to have a conversation when the time is right, and, with all the surveys and things we need to do, like, just give you an example, we can't even get a traffic study complete till school's in, right? So, it could be years before we know what we can and can't do on that site with all the surveys and things that we need to get through.
So, as far as the logistics are concerned here, this item is not on our agenda. I'm entertaining this under old business. I did ask Michelle to talk to Chris to make sure that was copacetic with the rules of the road that we have to follow. So yes, we can have the conversation, but we're not in a position where this committee can make any kind of a recommendation to council at this moment. We've got to get it on the agenda. So therefore, in what is now 3 weeks instead of 4 weeks when we have our next meeting, we then could. So nothing really can happen, but we need to reach some sort of an understanding as to what we're going to do.
But since you seem to be asking council as a whole to revise the decision in the conditional use area.
I'm not asking for anything right now, but this committee might make such a recommendation, yes.
I think I have a workaround for that. So the actual condition in the decision says the applicant must enter into a sewage capacity reservation agreement with the borough to reimburse the cost related to required upgrades to the Fourth and Oley pump station and Wynwood pump stations to provide the necessary sewage capacity to serve this project and its total build out. I don't see why we couldn't potentially write that agreement so that Mike can execute it now with the understanding that payment is due before that comes online, and putting the wording in there that because he's choosing to defer his financial contribution, he is responsible for all costs to upgrade the station at the point in time where he's ready to come online.
How about the capacity after the station?
I'm sorry?
The capacity of the
At the
line?
JMA, the JMA has no issues with capacity.
And we have no issues after the
One meeting.
sewage flows from Fourth and Holy get pumped over the Park Road Bridge and go into the interceptor. That has capacity for this as well.
So what we're saying is, he's on the hook for it when he builds it. But
What we're saying is,
we're not building it until he's building it.
no, we're doing what we need to do for the developers we've made a commitment to.
Correct, but for
He
him
is
to-
then on the hook on the other side of that. When he comes to us and says, I'm ready to go, okay.
He's then paying for the construction
Yep.
of, okay, got it. So we're not pre-funding something that.
Correct, we're building to what we know and based off the contributions from the developers that are ready to connect now.
So when our project is done, when we've done our part, and we give Mike a bill, Mike has to pay that bill.
No, Mike's not gonna be included in our project, that's the
Well, I
point.
was just trying to simplify terms, but we need to get paid then when we finish.
But the upgrade.
No, cause he's not included in our upgrade.
Right. I understand that, yes.
So-
He's not gonna hop on it.
So today, we would do, if this is agreeable, we would move forward with only upgrading the Fourth and Holy pump station. We wouldn't touch Wynwood until such time in the future as Mike advances his future phases 2 and 3. And at that time, we would have to then redo Fourth and Holy and redo Wynwood. So it would be a total redo of both that Mike would then have to do to move forward with his phase 2 and 3.
Okay, just as long as we're not funding this.
So there's no outstanding cost to the borough. He
No,
is just gonna be paying.
so
now
if you
paying a
council
forward.
decided to do that, then the developments that were moving forward, excluding the Innovating property, would have the cost of the Fourth and Holy pump station divided amongst their additional capacity equally, with them funding it, not the borough.
So, we're upgrading Wynwood for the other developers, for Fourth and Only.
No, only Fourth and Holy.
Fourth and Only for the other developers. When Mike comes on.
Excuse me, could we please have one meeting here instead of these sidebars going on while Jen's asking a question, Jim's trying to answer it. Meanwhile, there's this other chatter. Let's stop that. One meeting. Go ahead, Jim.
Fourth and Only is for the other developers. Wynwood needs to be upgraded, and Fourth and Only needs to be upgraded for Mike.
Correct.
Correct.
Palmer needs like 6 EDUs out of the Wynwood pump station, but it's a drop in the bucket.
So we're only gonna upgrade Wynwood for the other developers, and then you're saying it needs to be upgraded?
We're only gonna upgrade Fourth
I mean,
and
Fourth and
Only.
Only. We're only gonna upgrade Fourth and Only for the other developers, but then it's gonna need to be upgraded again?
Yep.
Is
Solely for
there-
him.
Is there a medium road where you can deal with jumping in on the upgrades for Fourth and Only? And then,
That's about $500,000.
So,
and then Wynwood,
there's no path forward paying for EDUs and sewer that we don't need for years, unfortunately. I don't know what the thought process is there, but I've taken something that if you do the math today, the unit Reading, you rebuild it the way it was, it would be a 600 EDU property. I've taken it down to somewhere between 26 EDU and 106, depending on how you do your math.
106.
For
Up
just-
to
so-
126.
So
It's
I've
160
taken it down
DUs.
to 106 from, if you do the math the way the new construction be done, it'd be at 600. You know, to ask me to pay for all these upgrades at this time is just, the math doesn't check out, it doesn't pass the smell test, it would just ruin the business, and we'd be close. So, you know, that's kind of the numbers that we're at.
So the bottom line is, we're not gonna upgrade any of the former Reading site. When, not if, it needs to be done. He's paying every penny of it, and at that point, whether we're upgrading an upgrade, that, that's Mike's property.
Correct.
Is there a timeline on this that you're?
I wish I could give you one, but all the things the banks ask for and all the things that you need to get through land development and subdivision, it could be years. I don't know.
When are you looking to have an answer from council as to determining
I
costs?
have to have it within 2 weeks or we have to appeal the,
Well, again, I don't know that
I
you
don't
need
think,
to the way
yeah,
that this is
you need to
written.
appeal.
okay.
I mean, you're not changing the conditions of the approval. The
I
approval,
asked-
conditions
I
of
asked
approval
Chris.
and enter into sewer capacity
Chris,
agreement.
do you?
Well, I don't think there's any official action needed by council. The condition is broadly worded, it doesn't have a timing, requirement for the payment to be made. It only requires it to be an agreement, and, if Mike is willing to enter into an agreement that says that, when he does the build out, he pays at that time. I think that would be consistent with the decision on the conditional use, and it would give Mike the economic outcome that apparently he's looking for in terms of timing. But, you know, I think Mike, Mike needs to understand, that there will be a greater cost by delaying this, because it'll be really 2 upgrades instead of 1 upgrade at the Fourth and Only pump station.
Well, if there's additional upgrades, then he takes the option of waiting until he's capable of building out. If there's another part of the project, someone else is paying for that, right? Why is he?
Well,
paying
we're
for it?
still gonna be doing an upgrade at Fourth and Only
Right.
for the other developers that need that upgrade. So there will be a project that will occur, and it'll be, as Jim already said, the cost will be divided among the developers that are going forward now. And then when Mike is ready to proceed, there will need to be a second upgrade of the Fourth and Only pump station, in addition to an upgrade of the Wynwood pump station. And instead of sharing that with other developers, Mike is gonna have to bear the cost of that.
It's a net zero cost to the borough.
Right.
I mean, if there were a new project requiring the same upgrade, then I could share with them, but
And are we outlining the specifics of what that is going to be in the future, or is it just an open-ended?
Well, we cannot identify a specific cost. We can't put a specific cost to it because we don't know when it's gonna happen. If it's 5 years, if it's 10 years, who knows?
And we don't know exactly how many units he's gonna do.
Right, so what we're gonna be looking for is him to sign an agreement that indicates a commitment to pay the costs for the upgrade that are necessary for his project at the 2 pump stations, with the cost to be determined at the time that those projects proceed.
It is pro rata.
Well, it'll be proportionate to whatever
Cost,
his need is.
the cost.
it's not.
But wouldn't that be just a condition of him being able to put no units up, is you got another 300 EDUs you have to pay for, or 500 EDUs, whatever the number is.
Well, it's gonna be whatever project he proposes at that time, there will be an evaluation of what the requirements are.
Now, just to be clear, Michelle has mentioned that we have to go forward sooner than later because of other developers. But those other developers are participating in the cost of that.
Correct, I sent all of them, Chris and Jim have worked very hard to prepare all of those agreements, they were sent out to all of the developers last week, and, the general feedback we got in return was, we'll review them and get it back to you.
Does their cost change now that?
It's going to, yeah, so fortunately, the drafts I sent out did not have cost included, it was to give them frame of the general wording of the agreement. Good recommendation, I don't know if that was Chris or Jim that told me to take the amounts out before I sent them, but.
Yeah, that was me. Both, I think. Well, just so everyone's aware, when we presented initially to all the developers, we gave them scenarios, like 7 different scenarios, if one of the other developers had dropped out. So they all know the price, they all have an idea of what the upgrade costs are if the Mike's project doesn't go forward with their additional capacity. So they've all seen those numbers for several months now.
So, in summary here, just to be clear, Mike is not being singled out here. These other developers are all doing their part.
Everyone's paying their fair share.
It's
in this
just,
scenario.
for Mike, it's a timing issue and the uncertainty as to what exactly it is that he's going to need. The current Innet Reading sewer capacity is going to actually be reduced by what he wants to do immediately, but it will be increased when he goes to his future phases. So that's where we stand. Now, what Chris is saying is that there's already adequate language in the existing list of conditions that we actually don't need to make any kind of recommendation for council's approval. But it is going to be subject to a revised written agreement that will need to be signed. So that does not need to go to council to authorize that.
The agreement will need to be approved by council after Mike signs it.
But he can go ahead now because he's telling us, I believe, Mike, you're saying that you're on a timeline.
Well, we
No.
need to have this agreement signed before he gets occupancy permits for the D&E wings.
But that can be done
That can be
expeditiously.
done, right, yes.
You clear of everything, Mike?
Yeah, as long as we are clear on the timing, you know, that's fine.
What do you mean, Mike, by clear on the timing?
Like, just that there's no expectation that money's being paid at any time.
Now,
before
I thought you meant the timing of signing this, that there was some deadline.
Okay.
And Chris, what do you need to turn this around?
We already have a form of agreement. It'll be tweaked to reflect the new circumstances, but it won't be hard to put that together.
Council can approve the agreement at our next meeting if it's already been signed.
Yeah, if Mike signs the agreement, then council can approve it at the next council meeting.
So the next council meeting is August what?
13th.
13th.
13, I think.
Does that work for you, Mike?
Yeah, I think that, what day of the week is that?
Tuesday.
Tuesday.
Okay, then, yeah, then we're still within the appeal period. I think that works.
Well, Mike, you can appeal regardless, but I don't know what you're appealing because we're not changing the condition.
I understand, I just have to
I mean,
protect
you can
myself.
preemptively file your appeal regardless of when the
Yeah.
agreement, that's why I was asking about the timing.
Yeah.
If you want to file an appeal, you can file an appeal regardless. That's up to you and your legal team.
So are there any loose ends here? You're okay, Michelle?
Yep.
Chris? Mike?
Yep.
Everybody's got it? So Chris will prepare this revised agreement detailing how eventually this will be paid. And we will get it to Chris as soon as possible. And we need it back in time then for it to be considered at the next council meeting, which is August again, what?
13th.
13th.
And this needs to be on our agenda then for the council meeting.
Put it under my manager's report.
So it'll be under the manager.
Um,
So,
One thing with.
Go ahead.
I have final inspections scheduled for Tuesday next week.
Condition of you getting your certificate of occupancy is that agreement being signed.
No, I'm saying, I plan to, but do we have to wait for the council meeting or just the signature and I'll give it to Mr. Cook? I didn't know what we're pretty much done.
Well, there's still a lot of site stuff to get done, like, before
Yeah.
you would get a
I was
CO
gonna
Yeah.
say, there's
from our meeting yesterday.
16 conditions total.
Yep. Yeah, the only thing outstanding is the parking lot design and stuff.
So could we advertise Monday's fire police meeting is also a borough council meeting?
Chris, can you turn the agreement around that quick?
Yeah.
your deadline's today. Fire and police,
Oh, okay.
not one you normally come to, Jim.
No.
So,
That makes, so we can have a special council.
so in
meeting.
order to expedite things, we will consider the next fire and police meeting to be a combined council meeting, and at that time, we can entertain approving this revised agreement that Chris is gonna prepare and get tonight ASAP.
I would actually think it's easier just to do a special council meeting either immediately before or immediately after.
Let's
fire.
do it, let's do it before, cause it gets confusing.
Yeah.
So let's.
Yeah.
we'll do the
11:45?
Special council meeting first.
Yeah.
That's a reasonable idea because it has nothing to do with fire and police, so we're just gonna
I don't think I'll-
back up, we're gonna combine the timing.
Could you call in 15 minutes?
As,
Walk back from the beach and go.
as far as,
No,
15 family.
No.
I mean, I might be able to.
as far as, the council members being able to attend, are we reasonably certain we will have a quorum?
No idea. I know Jen's on vacation.
I'm not reasonably sure I have to. I have a family issue I have to deal with my parents that may cause me to be late to the fire police meeting.
If it's a make or break, I can walk back to the house and call.
But we have,
Would it be better if we did it after the fire and police meeting?
any council member
Earlier is better for.
can fill in as an alternate.
But we're talking about council meetings.
No, council, we need
Oh,
four,
council,
we need
do we have 4 for the
I'll
council?
be there if it's before.
You got two.
So fire and police is Monday,
Yes,
the 29th.
It's
Yeah.
coming Monday, yes.
It's coming Monday, the 29th.
yes.
Ron, are you here?
You'll be there?
I'll be sick here, like,
Wait for fire and police.
Well,
So-
sit
He's
Fred,
not-
so you have to
you're not
wait.
leaving.
You
We
say
we need
Fred
one
or-
more.
You say Fred or, Fred.
So we have enough time to
I'm a
advertise
definite baby.
everything?
Barely, but yes.
Yeah, yeah, we just.
I'll talk to
You're
you.
definitely maybe, and if I have to, I'll
Who cares?
call her.
That's my-
Is everybody reasonably clear on this?
Yes,
So you wanna do this at what, 11:45?
yes.
That should be plenty of
That's
time.
fine.
But that's not the only condition for the occupancy. permit.
Well, and that's, I mean, yes. I mean, there's still a landscaping plan and a whole bunch of other things that need to be taken care of, so it's not like council's approving this agreement, Tuesday's inspection comes, okay, here's your CO.
But this is one of the things that's on the list that can get checked off.
Correct.
Yeah, this has no bearing on anything else.
Right, that's my point.
It's one of the 16.
One of them, yeah, but it's not gonna,
So is everybody clear? No misunderstandings of any sort? You got it? All right, then, as a follow-up to this thing, going forward, when we have these kinds of conditional use things and so on, and there is then a list of conditions, we need to make darn sure that everybody's clear on what exactly they are. In my conversation with Mike, I don't think I'm saying anything out of school, Mike, yesterday, he indicated basically he wasn't, that this was a surprise to him or whatever, so I don't like surprises, is my point. And we need to make sure that when we approve a list of conditions, that everybody completely understands what those conditions are. Crystal clear, and that didn't happen this last time, so we need to be a little tighter on that. So, anything else in regards to this particular issue? This is not public comment.
There's not public comment, this is an objection on Sunshine Act, and I have the right to do it by law. What you have done,
What is
it
your
makes a joke of the law on open meetings. This was not on the agenda, you talked a lot more than you talked to Dean Murray. You made decision, you gave the council jobs to do, made new meetings, created new meetings. That we're simply hiding this issue from the public. This is nowhere close to old business update on properties of interest. This is a whole new agenda item.
Chris?
Well, your objection can be noted for the record.
I know.
I don't believe it was improper because of the nature of this project as one of our commercial properties of interest, and we are not
Then
taking
write
any-
old business to the whole thing.
There are no
There's
motions
nothing,
being
no
made,
reason to
there are
make an
no
agenda.
actions.
Please, this is not a debate.
There are
Sure.
no actions that have been taken by council or by this committee.
So you're,
I'm okay with it.
Chris is okay with it, any other committee members, everybody's comfortable? Okay. Is there then any other old business that we need to consider, Michelle?
Not that I have.
Anybody? All right, then we shall stand adjourned. Thank you all.
John's upset this weekend, I saw.
Hey, you can keep on.